Hello and welcome to my Forza Horizon Online series. This is episode 3 and today I'm going to talk about leading from the front. You'll be watching 3 races where I'm in the lead for the majority of the time, and I'll explain why this type of race suits me, as well as how to make sure that once you have a decent lead you manage to keep it. So all the races in this video are from the same session and consist of small circuit races in B-class cars. Each race you'll see happened directly after the previous one, and this was also a custom lobby, so I was finally racing with all the assists turned off. I was also racing with 2 friends of mine, namely Drakov, who you might know from my Gears of War videos, and Mad Dog Tin Top. Both of them are competent racers and they have some good battles during the video. Now what you have to remember when watching is that I've come from a more motorsport related background, insofar as I've tended to stick to the simulators such as Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo when it comes to racing games. Because of that, circuit races on Horizon suit me a lot better than say point-to-point races, as I can learn the track much easier and apply all the techniques I've learned in my time on more hardcore racing games to get quicker lap times. In fact, I'd say that the 3 tracks you see in this video are the only ones I really know to a decent level on Horizon, and that's down to them being quite short and me having not played enough on the other longer tracks. So the first thing you need when you're aiming to lead a race from the start to finish is a good knowledge of the track. You have to be inherently quick with your lap times when there's nobody else around, otherwise you won't be able to pull away from the opposition. However, you also need a good start, which is what I got in this race. I was on the front row and shot off from the start line much quicker than everyone else, which allowed me to get through the first corner without any troubles. Then I just drove my own race and focused on improving each corner as it came up. When you're out in front, it's much easier to improve your lap times during the race, since that's the only thing you've really got to focus on. And that's pretty much what I did during this race myself, and is the reason I finished so far ahead of everyone else. Whilst they were battling for position and posting similar lap times, I was getting quicker and quicker. So as you can see, I crossed the finish line with a time of 2 minutes 17 seconds, and it takes another 11 seconds for the second place man to finish. My best lap time is also 2.5 seconds quicker than the next best, which is a big margin on such a small track, and that's partly because I've been in free air at the front of the pack, concentrating solely on being as quick as possible. So on to the second race we go then, and this one's slightly different since I don't get the best start, and I'm also starting from 3rd place with my 2 friends on the front row. Now I get pushed to the outside on the first corner, but then after a quick look back find myself in a reasonably comfortable 3rd place up to that point. Now being behind is much like being in front, in that you need to just focus on being as quick as you can be. A lot of the time, mistakes will be made by people in front, as you've just seen there, and this is especially true at the start of a race when those who are in front may have been fortunate to be there. However, after the first, say, half of a lap, things will generally settle down, and that's when it's time to just focus on your own race once again. Now in this race I feel that I can get the quickest raw lap time out of everybody, so I need to just focus on doing that as consistently as possible to beat everyone else. The only time any other variables are added to the equation is when you're battling for position, as often you won't be taking your optimal lines. So as you can see there, Drakov makes a slight mistake and runs wide on that corner, allowing me to capitalise and move up into 1st place. Once I've pulled out a little bit of a gap, it's back to simply focusing on being as consistently quick as possible. However, the only reason I was able to capitalise on Drakov's mistake is because I'd caught up to him in the second half of the first lap. Because I wasn't close to him and therefore wasn't fighting him for position, and wasn't being challenged from behind, my priority was just driving the car as quickly as I could. I would worry about challenging him when I got closer, and that's the whole idea. You can't focus on too many things at once, otherwise you'll just make mistakes. You need to pick and choose what to prioritise and when. For example, if you're too busy thinking about how you're going to overtake someone before you're actually close enough to do it, you'll start making mistakes and you'll never actually catch up to them. Knowing when to change your focus is sometimes difficult though, and often requires you to have a bit of insight into how quick you are in relation to other drivers. As an example, if you know you're a good 2 to 3 seconds per lap quicker than someone, and you've just overtaken him, you can forget about him quite quickly, shifting your focus to just driving as fast as possible. However, if you're racing another car and you're only a few tenths per lap quicker, you'll want to keep an eye on him for a little bit longer, making sure you take some defensive lines so he doesn't re-overtake you. Once you've got enough of a gap, you can then focus on your own race. Do it too early though, and you could find yourself making a mistake if you're re-overtaken when you didn't expect it. So as you can see, this was another dominating win, with Dreykov putting in a great performance to finish second. And with that, we'll now move on to the final race of the three. So again I started from third, but this time I got a better start, and I ran into the back of Dreykov as he moved into first. I managed to get an early pass on him into the first corner, and from this point on it's more of the same really. I focus on my race, build a huge gap and just get quicker and quicker. One final point that I'd like to make is this. If you get a chance to lead from the front, either by being on the front row, getting a good start, or overtaking cars on the first corner after a pile-up, make it count. Just focus on your own race and don't worry about what's going on behind you. More often than not, you won't have the opportunity to lead from the front, so when you're there, do the best job you can to get the best result you can. That's where the wins will come from most often. So there isn't really a lot more I can say on leading from the front. It's certainly the type of racing I'm most comfortable with, although trying to catch up from behind I enjoy too, and it's where most of my wins come from. Having said that, some of my best and most enjoyable wins have been from close races, and you'll see one of those in episode 5. Trust me when I say that you don't want to miss it. In episode 4 though, we'll look at the flip side of leading from the front, and that is dealing with pressure. We'll see another 3 races on the same 3 tracks, but there will be some quite noticeable differences. I look forward to showing you it. Thanks for watching guys, enjoy the rest of this race and I'll see you next time.